as I say, an independent Britain forging our own way in the world.
Now, you use the word British there, but you also said soon after you became Prime Minister that you wanted this to be an all-United Kingdom thing, and that you wanted the Scots to be completely happy and satisfied with the way things were going, the way the negotiations were going to go, before you triggered Article 50. Is that still the case?
What I've said to Nicola Sturgeon and the discussions I've had with the Scottish Government is that I want them to be fully involved, fully engaged in the discussions that we're having about the position the United Kingdom's going to take, and the other devolved administrations as well. The people of the United Kingdom took a decision to leave the European Union. What I want to do is make a success of it, and what I say to the people in Scotland is I want to ensure that that's a success for people in Scotland.
So I guess, again, what I'm trying to get to is that Scotland has very different views about some of these issues. For instance, there is much less worry about immigration among Scots, and certainly with the Scottish Government. Will they have a proper input into that process? Will Nicola Sturgeon be influential in the Brexit negotiations?
I want the Scottish Government and the other devolved administrations to be engaged with us as we determine the position the United Kingdom is going to take. But the British people took a view, the United Kingdom took a view that we should be leaving the European Union. And we could try and turn our back on that. We could try and say, let's have a second vote. We could try and pretend that no second referendum. We could try and say, look, this is, we wish that hadn't happened, so we're going to try and somehow wish it away. What I'm saying, what the Conservative Party is saying, it's the only party that is saying this, is we respect the wishes of the British people. The British people want us to leave the European Union, and that's what we will do.
In Scotland, there is still a feeling that we in Scotland voted to stay. We didn't vote the same way as England, and that we would like to stay inside the EU. That in itself is triggering pressure for a second Scottish independence referendum. There's a lot of talk about it all summer. If that came about, would you prevent that second referendum happening?
Well, I don't think it's a question of whether there could be a second referendum, it's whether there should be a second referendum. There was a vote of the Scottish people in 2014 that they wanted to stay part of the United Kingdom. There's been a vote of the United Kingdom that it wants to come out of the European Union. Scotland wasn't the only part of the UK that voted overall voted remain rather than to leave, but the overall view of the United Kingdom and the public was to come out of the European Union. As I say, we could try and, some people might say, well, let's try and row back on that, let's try and find a way out of that.
Yes.
A vote was taken, a decision was taken. The job now is to get on with it.
But a lot of people watching, and not only in Scotland, want to know whether, if there are proposals for a second Scottish independence referendum quite soon, Theresa May, as Prime Minister of the UK, would say, no, I'm not going to let that happen.
As I say, I don't think it's a question of whether there could be, I think it's a question of whether there should be. And I think if you look at some of the results that are now coming out of polling in Scotland, they suggest that the Scottish people don't want there to be a second referendum.